The views and opinions expressed on the following show do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the Best Station.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fast Pitch Game 26. I am your co-host, MC Brown.
I am Eric Lenneberg.
The Doctor of Baseball. Welcome, and how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Great. I'm doing not as great as you, but I'm hanging in.
Well, but then who is?
That's right. I'm doing good, though, in all seriousness. We want to welcome all you fans to another great edition of the Fast Pitch. As usual, we can be reached at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Fast Pitch. And as a added bonus and surprise, we can receive all messages thefastpitchmlb@gmail.com. So from this point on, Doctor, any Fast Pitch feud, any feedback, we're encouraging all of you great fans and listeners to send us messages at our Gmail now, the Fast Pitch MLB, and let us know. Obviously, any and all feedback to myself, the Doctor, Craig Best, our great producer, who, as always, puts our great shows on thebeststation.net. And without Craig's help, you would not be not only listening but watching this. And we want to give you a little tease to all our great listeners as we enter this Game 26 here, that we hope to soon be also on iTunes, where the entire podcast will be available audio, and we're looking forward to that. We're going to try to make that happen real soon for you guys. So hopefully
we expand our listener base.
Yeah, hopefully with this game, we hope to do that. So, Doc, 12 weeks into the season, and you got some great things here on our regular segment, the bullpen.
Yes, I did. Some really good questions. First one is from Ray Noriega.
Okay, great listener. Yeah, great listener, Ray.
And Ray says, did you see the Sports Illustrated article on shortstops? And that was in a recent Sports Illustrated that had Vin Scully on the cover, big story on Vin. But in there, they had an article on this generation of shortstops.
Interesting.
And he asks, which do you guys think has the potential for the most productive career? And the ones they named were Trevor Story, Corey Seager, Francisco Lindor, or Carlos Correa.
Right off the bat, Carlos Correa. I mean, in fact, we'll be talking about this in the Fast Pitch Fantasy League. He's just tearing it up this week, and I know he had I think he was hit a little bit by the injury bug this year, but he's came back with a force now, and I think out of them all, I would put him number one for sure. He was the American League Rookie of the Year last year, right?
Right, he was.
So
right ahead of Francisco Lindor.
Yeah. I think the class alone of the young shortstops is unbelievable. So,
it is.
Just those names alone we mentioned. Story, obviously, it might be a little bit early. I mean, the tremendous power, tremendous start of the year. I mean, he's kind of cooled down a little bit.
He reminds me a lot of Jock Peterson last year. He hits a home run, he strikes out.
Yeah, he's all or nothing. Yeah, the strikeouts are unbelievable. I think as we record this, he's either at or over 100 strikeouts.
Already, yeah.
Yeah, and that's unbelievable. Not even at the halfway mark, where he's going to strike out over 200 times, I'm sure, this year.
I may have to go with Corey Seager, kind of year he's having, busting out. He's got 15 home runs already.
That is unbelievable.
At this point. He's been leading the offense for the Dodgers. Corey is a big guy, too. He's 6'4", 220 pounds, which you wouldn't think he would spend his career at shortstop. But in the article, they were talking about starting with Cal Ripken back in the 80s. The shortstops have gotten bigger. They're not your little 150-pound infielders who bat 220 every year, but they're known for their defense. These guys play defense, but they hit, too.
Do you think, like Cal, that he might eventually be moved to third or one of the hot corners
Possibly,
one day?
Corey Seager, possibly.
Because obviously, again, it's not going to probably play first forever for the Dodgers. I mean, at some point.
Right, he's going to retire, and Seager play there. He can play third, because third base, even now, as a whole for the Dodgers.
Yeah, if they sign a key free agent, any one of those middle infield positions or the corner, then they could easily move. They could easily move Corey to a corner.
Right, and third base would make sense because he has a strong arm.
Yeah,
put him at second is kind of a waste.
Big dude, yeah. So definitely can man third base. I mean, you look at Chris Bryant, obviously.
That's right.
Just a giant of a man at third base for the Cubs. Yeah, I would pick Correa, but I mean, all those guys. I think underrated is Lindor, Francisco Lindor.
I do too.
He
I
is
think
very
he plays in
underrated.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
Probably it.
unfortunately, Cleveland not having a great past few seasons for sure. But I think they got a good young core there. I think they got to get Brantley back eventually. That's just a huge loss this entire year for him. But yeah, I mean, he's an underrated player. Out of the four, he's definitely underrated. Story's got the press this year, but look at last year and this year, what Lindor has done has just been incredible.
Right. So thanks, Ray. That was a great question. We appreciate it.
Awesome question. Hopefully we get more questions like that in the future from Ray.
All right, and now I have one from Jim Nout, our great listener.
All right.
Jim asks, how are the Nationals holding such a large lead over the Mets this season? And that's a question a lot of people are asking. The Nationals have, as of right now, it's either a 5 or a 6 game lead over the Mets.
Yeah, I don't think that's surprising, though. I picked the Nationals to finish first over the Mets.
I didn't, but
you didn't because...
I don't think I even picked the Mets for first place. I'm not going to say who I picked, but...
We could dig through our archives here, because we're going to revisit that in a future show.
Yeah, I know.
We can have the Marlins, maybe?
Might have been.
Yeah. Where are the Marlins at right now?
Oh, I haven't kept track lately.
Yeah.
Other than the Nationals.
Completely lost
and the Mets.
all things in your picks. Hopefully you didn't put any money on that to Chuck Boyer, because you will be wearing a Diamondbacks dress.
I don't bet with Chuck
by the
anymore.
end of the season. You've said that, yet we continue to see, the fans and listeners will see that too on the Fast Pitch when we post a menagerie collage of Dr. Eric bet losses to Chuck Boyer. And maybe Chuck, if he's a computer guru, can put all of Dr. Eric's pictures together for a collage, and I would, gladly make sure we get that posted.
I know for a fact he has pictures that he has archived in his own files.
Chuck, I know you're listening. Get to work on that. If you send me a collage of Dr. Eric's Diamondback gear, we will make sure we put that on there, since he's, the last one made him look like, he should not wear white in a Diamondback.
Yeah, well, I didn't like it, but there you go.
Dodger blue, you need to stay in that.
Let me go back to Jim's question. What do you think about the Nationals? What is it about them this season as opposed to last year, when really it's a very similar team than last year? They lost Jordan Zimmerman. They added Daniel Murphy.
Murphy is a gigantic thing, and I think without Murphy's bat, they maybe not be able to withstand the struggles of Harper, Bryce Harper this year. You look at that, I think the pitching has really just come together. The young pitchers have actually, I know Gio Gonzalez has had his ups and downs, but I think the back end of number 5, what Joe Ross has solidified that last spot for him. I think just health. Rendon was hurt, I think, last year. He's been pretty solid for them playing. Wilson Ramos on a tear, just as a catcher. I believe he's got 11 home runs.
He does have 11.
That's he was hurt last year too. I think just staying healthy has been huge for him, and just I'm not surprised. Like I said, I picked him for first. I mean, I'm not bragging over you, obviously, but I just felt like the team had some struggles last year, but I think this is the team. Maybe the people thought, especially watching National fans in D.C., thought they were going to get last year, and I think, to me, it's not surprising, because I think it's just staying healthy. This is an awesome team.
Let me tell you the difference I think it is, Jim. Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker is a manager who has gone regularly to the postseason. I thought he was out of baseball, retired, but they brought him back, and he's done a great job with a young team that has experienced veterans and young guys blended together.
I think this is probably a team much like the Giants. He doesn't have to play too much around with, and just let Dusty do his job. I will give him credit for that. You put him in the Cubs, I think maybe the Cubs had a little bit too many holes for Dusty, a lot more pressure there. And the Reds, he just couldn't get that team on track.
Yeah.
But, you might be right. I think this might be the team suited for Dusty. Give him the players and talent at his disposal. Yeah. Let him do his job. I think you can't discount what he did with the Giants.
Not at all. No.
I to be honest with you, I couldn't picture Dusty coming back from that, because I think the failures in Chicago and Cincinnati probably, like you were just saying, probably made it seem like it probably most fans' eyes are just look, and probably people in the game too, thinking maybe Dusty was done. But
they thought he was a dinosaur, I think.
Yeah.
His managing style.
But you do have to give him credit, because he's not hurting the team like some managers do. They can drag the team down, by doing nothing.
I think that happened last year with the Nationals and Matt Williams.
I think Dusty is definitely an improvement. Yeah, I think you got to give you credit for bringing that up, because Dusty probably is not maybe getting enough credit for their success.
I
think.
agree.
Yeah.
So thanks, Jim, for that question.
Great question.
We have one more. Danny D from Las Vegas, back again.
I love feedback from Danny.
Me
Go
too.
ahead.
Now, Danny has an interesting question that is, I think, going to be talked about more as the season goes on. What will Dodger baseball be without Vin Scully? And I have to say, as a longtime Dodger listener, it will not be the same. I don't know who they're going to pick to replace him. Could you imagine stepping into those shoes?
I don't even think you want to think about that because his name is, or just his voice is so iconic, and
Yes.
the name associated with Dodgers baseball is, I don't know. I mean, you was using the LA insider knowledge. I mean, have they been grooming anybody? Have they been somebody doing fill-in games?
No.
If Vin has had a day off, I mean, obviously hasn't had a day off, right?
No, my
know?
inside person tells me they're going out of the organization. They're going to bring in somebody who's relatively unknown to take that spot. And like I said,
Potentially a doctor of baseball.
you never know, MC. You never know. But like I said,
I think that the pressure to step into those shoes would
Right.
be unbelievable. I don't even know if you would want to
I
approach
wouldn't.
that. I mean, you probably would love that dream job, but like think about the pressure. It's probably, no matter who they would bring in, would not be probably well received.
Yes,
Even if Vin himself says, "Hey, I'm done." You know, it's like you look at a lot of the guys who are replaced. I mean, I hate to cross sports like this, but in the sake of Blackhawks hockey, for example, when Pat Foley was gone from an organization, fans were infuriated.
Yes.
You know, and to the point where when they were mending fences and they were bringing the fan base and everything back to playoff hockey again, that was one of the first moves the organization did when they restructured, was bring him back. You cannot play around with the fan base and the voice of it. I just
No,
think in this case, it's Vin's case, it's just a matter of, obviously it's inevitable, it's going to happen at some point. It's just, that's going to be big shoes for anybody to follow.
he's been there for all of Los Angeles Dodger baseball and a good deal of Brooklyn Dodger baseball.
Be there as long as he wants to.
Yeah, the
clearly.
team, when they moved to Los Angeles, he has been the voice all along.
Yeah.
He's all people in LA know. So, boy, and a lot of tributes are going to be made to him in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the story just yesterday. Brian Anderson, who is one of the Brewers announcers, gave a tribute to Vin and got very emotional while he was talking about Vin. And, that's going to happen more and more, I believe, as the season wears on. I hope they make the playoffs, if for no other reason than we hear him a couple more weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but he's definitely stated this is it for him.
This is it, no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, that's sad for the Dodger Nation, I'm sure. I mean, but in case, I think it's sad for all of baseball.
All of baseball,
It's just
yes.
because everybody loves his voice.
Yes.
And it's hard to imagine Dodger baseball without.
No, I can't
Scully's
imagine
voice.
it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Danny. Another great question from
Yeah.
Danny D, and that's the bullpen
That's
for
the
this
bullpen.
week.
I just want to mention, too, a special shout-out to a great listener of ours, Daniel Venn, who this is a gentleman who sent a message to both the doctor and myself, and he sent us a copy of his book, which myself and the doctor are in the middle of reading. It's a nonprofit book called "Helping Kids Round First," and that's basically what that's going to it's going to help bring donated gear to kids all over Nicaragua. And myself and the doctor are looking forward to reading this book. And Daniel was very gracious to send us a copy of this. And,
Yes, he was. I'm certainly
hope to have him on the show to talk about it as
right,
well.
and I'm certainly willing to help whatever his organization. If it's for kids, I want to help.
Yeah, so this is a great thing, and we cannot wait to talk with Daniel about this more. So big shout out to Daniel. Thank you very much for the copy, and we will be in touch with Daniel hopefully soon and get him here on the Fast Pitch.
Right.
We have a plug later on in the show for our next guest, which will be happening, and we want to apologize for a couple things from last show. Unfortunately, Timothy Bovine was supposed to be our guest for the show, and of course, as we're recording, it will not be.
He had family
but-
emergency.
Yeah, but we hope to have him on as well. And we did have a correction from last show. Jay Johnstone won a World Series with the New York Yankees, not the Philadelphia Phillies. We apologize for
He
that.
won with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And as Dodgers as well.
Yeah.
So that was pointed out by our great listener, Chuck Boyer. So, Chuck, thank you very much for correcting us. We had some erroneous information.
I would bet that if you said to Chuck Boyer, who played shortstop for the Twins in 1965 and what was his batting average, he would have the answer.
What about 1899? Who was playing for the Cubs during that?
I bet he would have the
White
answer. And I
Stockings.
mean off the top of his head, not Googling and all that
He
stuff.
was around back then, so we would have to get Chuck's thoughts on that. But yes, we want. In all seriousness, we want to thank everybody for the bullpen feedback. Unfortunately, we can't. We would have a whole show of feedback, so we try to get to everybody if we can. If not, we thank you all for your feedback. And from now this point on, the fastpitchmlb@gmail.com.
Right.
Please send us those messages there. We'll go right through them as best we can and try to get all of you guys on there. And we appreciate that. So as always, we want to get our feedback there. And Doc. We're going to go to a great regular segment here before station break, the Who Am I of the week.
Who am I? This is some fans' favorite segment.
Yes.
And I try to find some obscure names, and I try to stump people. Let me go right into
Look
it.
forward to it.
Who am I? In 1962, I was playing baseball at St. Mary's High School in Lynn, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Within a year, at age 18, I was playing left field for the Boston Red Sox.
Wow.
In 1967, August of 1967, as the Red Sox were marching towards the World Series, I was hit in the face with a pitch, suffered a broken jaw, a fractured cheekbone, and severe damage to my left retina. My career was said to be over. 3 years later, in 1970, I returned to the Red Sox and hit 36 home runs with 116 RBIs and was named the Comeback Player of the Year.
Wow.
Who am I?
Who am I? We'll find out when we come back.
The Fast Pitch will return after these words.
When the only sound is the frozen silence of winter, you go to work, throwing mountains of snow back into the sky. And when the track becomes a railroad again, it's Miller time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find, Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer. Miller Beer.
Are you a memorabilia fan? If so, you will definitely want the new World Hit King Baseball, signed by Ichiro Suzuki, who now has 4,260 hits in his illustrious career, and he did it without gambling. Signatures are authenticated by Pete Rose.
And we are back on the Fast Pitch Game 26, and we have a great Who Am I reveal for us, Doctor.
Who am I? And I'm wondering how many people will know who this was.
That was a good one. I'm stumped.
Yeah, and I think Chuck Boyer will know right away, but other than that, I'm not sure. So the Who Am I this week?
Chuck will probably know this.
The great Tony Conigliaro.
Tony Conigliaro.
Tony Conigliaro.
Wow, look at that. So, yeah, some great stats. He bounced back from facial injuries to...
He did, and they said it was
36
over for
home
him.
runs. Yeah.
I will say this,
Unbelievable.
when the Red Sox were in the World Series a couple times during this century, I was deeply disturbed that there was no mention made of Tony C. at all in Boston. At all. He was a Boston boy and played for them. I was disappointed.
Yeah, that is disappointing, for
But
sure.
Tony C.
Tony C is our Who Am I reveal, and during the break we had a weird ad for some sort of World Hit King thing?
World Hit
What's
King.
going on?
That's what Ichiro is now called.
Oh, yeah, World Hit King, yeah. Well, Major League Baseball Hit King is Pete Rose.
Well, Major League Baseball or World, which would you rather be?
the world could include just horribly diluted talent. From like
No.
me and
no,
you
no.
could be playing on the island of Aruba or something somewhere goofy, and then obviously we're going to be the league in hits, aren't we?
Yeah, but we're not going to have 3,000 hits in America, are we?
Yeah, we wouldn't have MLB. Major League Baseball includes players from all over the world, don't they?
Yeah, it does, like Japan. So
Yeah, part of it. Yeah. Also Dominican Republic. And
here we go. Ray Noriega is
start
listening,
going
and I can
crazy.
see the blood pressure.
Pete Rose
going
is
up on
Major
him.
League Hits king. We just
But Pete Rose is authenticating those baseballs we talked about.
supposedly, that's a real ad. We're going to jump right into it, Doctor, in all seriousness, to our regular segment, the Great Fast Pitch Feud.
Here we go.
Take it away. All right, Doc, so here it is. And we had three great listeners engaging in this. Conspicuous by his by his absence is the great Corey S. We
Corey
don't
S. I'm
know
going
where he
to
went.
find
Corey,
out what happened with Corey.
please rejoin this contest. I mean, unless he sent it to some phantom account that we
He
don't
might
know.
have.
The fastpitchmlb@gmail.com is preferable for all this. We will still take them if we can on Facebook. I mean, we'll try to do that. But just like the feedback, if you send it there, not a problem. That means our great listeners who are not on the regular Facebook or Twitter and soon to be Instagram as well. Don't worry about that. Somehow get it to us, and we will. Unlike our great listener Chuck Boyer, who wants recounts all the time, you can trust the fast pitch that we will deliver. And Chuck got some of his prizes from you recently.
Yes,
right?
I gave
not
him-
all of them.
I ran into him at a ball game last week, and we'll talk about that later. But
Same with Zachary L. I think we got to touch
got
base
one more
with
for
him.
them. Corey still has a
couple
gift
more, I
coming.
think. Yeah, Corey himself. Maybe that's why he's mad. He's not going to engage in until you get Corey his prize.
Yeah, that could be it. I'll find out, though.
The Fast Pitch Feud and Dr. Eric's prize van will be coming to your home soon with these things, hopefully. But, Doc, we're going to get right into it. We had three great questions from Game 25, and we had some feedback, obviously. I'll let you know the first one. Name another word for homer or home run. Name another word for home run. We had unique answers across the board. So, obviously, when we get the answers, no answer was given twice. So
That
whoever
amazes me.
gives an answer that's said by somebody else will only get 1 point.
Yes.
That's amazing from all the answers we've gotten. We had some good ones, though, but we'll reveal our listeners' answers, and then you'll start getting some of them. Second one, name a player on the Tampa Rays, or Devil Rays, past or present. Number one answer is a tie between Evan Longoria and Fred McGriff, the crime dog.
Fred McGriff. Wow, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, that's a tie for number two. And number three, name something a batter may do before stepping into the batter's box. And we got some diverse answers there. Tie on that one for number one is adjust batting gloves and spit. One of the listeners added grabbing the junk as he spit. But
Well, those are all accurate,
still
though.
spit. He's still spitting at the same time. I don't think I need to know what he's doing while he's spitting, but
That's
the
a
great
good point.
surveyed fan gave us both the graphic of that. So we're going to get to our listeners who have entered. The first one, Zachary L. So Zachary said Dinger was his home run guess, and he got a point for that. He said Evan Longoria, getting the number one answers, points for two for that. And he said practice swings, which was only gave him 1 point, because we did have one for that. So Zach finishes with 4. David G., another great listener, a new listener.
Yes.
He gave us some answers. Big Fly, which he gets a point. That was said.
Okay.
That's on the board. Delman Young, which is
Delman Young.
unfortunately X.
Wow.
Nobody said Delman Young.
Wow.
So it's if we had the X, that's what it would be. And knock the dirt out of the cleats, which I thought would be said by more, because that would probably be one of my answers there. Unfortunately, it's another X for David. So please don't stop playing David just because some of the fans did not say those answers. He finishes with 1. But those were good answers still. Yeah,
I want to mention, David is one of the 5 listeners that Chuck Boyer got to like the
Yeah.
Fast Page, listen to the show, and Chuck won a prize for that, which
And-
I gave to him last week.
David, yeah, please keep entering. Don't be discouraged by
And
this.
that goes for anybody. You get 5 listeners, and we will take care of you with a prize.
Yes, yeah, you give us 5 listeners and get them to like the page, and yeah, the doctor will find you. Chuck rounds out our trifecta of fans entering here. His answer was for name another word for home run, dinger. That I think they're all number one because there's no number two answer. They're all tied. Chuck gets a point for that. Just to let you know, the other answers we've gotten, just throw them out there. Round tripper.
That's what I would have said.
Goner. Big fly, obviously we said. Bomb was another one given. Someone said grand slam, which is technically a home run.
Well, technically, but it has to be with the bases loaded.
I would say, certainly four-bagger would have been one I probably would have thought of.
Right.
Nobody said that, though. So Chuck gets a point for that. He also said Evan Longoria, like Zach. So they're tied at that point, but Chuck got the number one answer, tied with just the batting gloves. So Chuck is our winner this week. No tie to be given, and
no recount
necessary. Chuck, congratulations. He wins a great prize from the doctor.
Yes, he does, which I'll add to the other ones.
Add it to the pile, right?
I'm bringing those piece by piece to Chuck so I can continue to see him this year.
Yeah, so it'd be a lot of fun. So we got three new ones, Doc.
Let's hear them.
First one, name a play a manager may call for during the course of a game. And that could be a lot of things.
Yeah, we should have some diverse answers
I hope so. Number two, name a player on the Angels, past or present. Could be California, Los Angeles, Angels of Anaheim, any number of Angels. So name a player on the Angels, past or present. Number three, name something a pitcher may do before stepping on the mound, which is the flip the script on our batter one. So that could be any number of things.
Good questions.
So three great questions. You could send them anywhere now, folks. That's the great thing. The Fast Pitch MLB at Gmail. Put it on their wall on the Fast Pitch MLB tweet it to us, on that, facebook.com/thefastpitch, give it to us. We'll try to put all the questions up there as well. I know that a lot of that's well received. And
yes,
any number of ones, we'll try to gather them all, preferable at Gmail, but we'll find them, hopefully.
Right, you can bet on that.
Hopefully we find Corey S., because we want him to enter again.
I would bet Corey will be
Corey's AWOL, so Corey, return, please. So, Doc, that's a good addition to the Fast Pitch Feud this week, so we're hoping for some great answers from the fans, but we got another great segment lined up here. One of our favorites.
Which one would that be?
So here it is, Doc, actually.
Time to bust a move again.
This Day in Baseball, the great regular segment.
Is this modern dancing or what?
The Doc is busting a move here to the sounds of This Week in Baseball, and as we enter this day in baseball, Doc, we got some good ones.
We do. I was pretty happy reading these this week, and I want to hear all of them.
We've got 7 great ones, and to turn back the clock here, we're going courtesy of nationalpastime.com. We urge all you great listeners to go to that site as well, and on days even that we don't have any recorded, join them. We're going to turn back the clock, Doc, though, to June 22nd, all the way back to 1932.
Okay.
The National League finally approves the use of uniform numbers to identify players, although some teams in the American League implemented digits on their jerseys on a regular basis a few seasons ago. The senior circuit had refused to follow suit, probably as a result of the Cardinals being harassed by opposing players and fans when they wore numerals on their sleeves in 1923.
Do you know what team was the first one?
You remember that. You were around in 1932.
To wear numbers on the uniforms?
Was the first team to do that?
I don't know what year it was, but it was the New York Yankees.
Yeah, that's right.
They coincided with their spot in the batting order. For instance, Babe Ruth number 3, Lou Gehrig was number 4.
Interesting, isn't it? And some of those players kept those numbers, right?
They did.
As they go on. Yeah. Doc, this is a good one here. 1936, at Brooklyn's Ebbets Field, Eval Goodman hits an unusual home run when his fifth-inning fly ball lands and stays on top of the scoreboard in right field. With the perch ball considered in play, the 3 Dodger outfielders watch the Reds' right fielder round the bases for an easy inside-the-park round tripper in their 7-2 loss to Cincinnati. Like, it took them all the way to 1936 to figure out what to do with that. I mean,
no ground rules back then. So.
Yeah, nowadays, that's just a home run.
It's a home run, or if it doesn't land high enough, it's a double.
We'll have to try to get this picture up to great fans on a Fast Pitch wall, because there is actually a...
There's a photo of that?
Yeah, there's an actual photo, and I'll try to save that for our great fans just so we can
post it on the page.
Actually see that, because that's actually pretty funny, because there's an arrow pointing to where the ball's supposed to be.
I'd love to have seen the looks on the outfielders' faces while they're just standing there watching a guy running around.
I hope in 1937 they made a rule to fix that.
Me too. Chuck will know when it was.
Chuck will
implemented.
know exactly when it's been. In fact, what Chuck is going to be, if we go to radio, I want Chuck in the studio at all times to correct us if something is wrong. 1941, in their 5-4 victory over Detroit, the Yankees established a new record by hitting at least one home run in 18 straight contests. Joe DiMaggio's sixth-inning blast not only breaks the Major League mark previously held by the Tigers, but also continues his own consecutive game-hitting streak to 35 games. Both of those feats just unbelievable. Can you imagine 18 straight contests and have a guy in that same game in the middle of a 35-game hitting
I
streak?
cannot imagine that. But 1941 was a great year for hitters. Not only did DiMaggio have his hitting streak, Ted Williams batted .406 that year.
That is just incredible talent back in those days. 1982, speeding along here, some odd 40-some years later, Phillies, speaking of, as the fast pitch always does, Phillies' Pete Rose moves past Hank Aaron into second place for career hits when he doubles off Redbird right-hander John Stuper for his 3,772nd hit. Charlie Hustle, 419 hits shy of Ty Cobb's record, will surpass the Georgia Peaches total in 1985 with his 4,192nd hit, a single to left center at Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium off San Diego's Eric Shaw.
Well, and he held that record for 31 years. That's quite something.
Still holds the record as the all-time Major League Baseball hits
not the World
leader. Well, tell me in the World League where all these players are playing, and we'll go watch some games. 1987, Doc. After spending over 2 weeks training to make a comeback with the Mets, Tom Seaver unfortunately announces his retirement. The future Hall of Famer ends his career with 311 victories, of which 198 came wearing a Mets uniform. Maybe he was going for 200 with the Mets. I don't know.
He might have been. He was a great, great pitcher.
Yeah.
Probably the best of that era.
Great broadcaster as well, which
Yes,
he
he
turned
was.
his career around, turned his career into. But yeah, I think people that know him as a broadcaster just don't know how unbelievably great his pitcher,
right.
Tom Seaver, was. 1993, Doctor, on his final day as a professional baseball player, a 45-year-old White Sox backstop Carlton Fisk catches his 2,226 game to surpass Bob Boone as the all-time leader. Pudge, as he has been called, played the first 11 seasons in his 24-year Major League career with the Red Sox. Amazing baseball legend, Carlton Fisk.
What do you think Pudge will always be remembered for?
Pudge is just...
the home run in the 1975 World Series.
Yeah,
That
that's
classic video of him waving his arms trying to push it fair.
not alive back then, but it is an amazing feat. I do remember that.
Well, it's too bad you weren't around to see
That is a
some of these
great year, though,
things.
by the way. I love that year.
1975?
One of I think my all-time favorite year.
Yeah, it was a good year, except a lot of strange people were born that
Yeah, I
year.
just love that year. I think just a lot of great people born that year. 1975, yes, great. He and the thing is, he had an awesome year with the Red Sox, great career, legendary career with the Red Sox. He had some pretty solid seasons at the end of his career with the White Sox.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
One of the, I think, first free agents, right, to cross, as we looked at baseball in that day. Yeah, he spent some good years with the White Sox as well, and that's where I knew him growing up on the South Side. So that's where I should say got to know Carlton Fisk as the player, as a young baseball fan, way back in the day. 1994, Doc, hitting his 31st home run of the season, Ken Griffey Jr. breaks Babe Ruth's record for most homers before July 1st. Although the Yankee slugger needed only 63 games to reach 30 homers in 1928 and 68 games in 1930, Jr. accomplishes the feat in the Mariners' 70th game of the season. That is amazing.
How many home runs was that before June?
July 1st.
July 1st.
He hit
30?
31st before July 1st.
Wow.
He did this on June 22nd of
and that was
1994.
before the 1998 70 home runs by McGuire and so forth. Griffey never used steroids and had a couple seasons back-to-back that he hit 56 home runs.
Yeah. Just amazing. Just, that's why he's a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer now, that's right.
Yeah, just incredible. And that wraps up our This Day in Baseball. So a lot of good ones.
Good segment this time.
Yeah, definitely. And Doc, and we're in the sandwich part of our show here. You want to tell us about some great interviews you had lined up just a week ago on June 15th between a game between the Diamondbacks and Dodgers. This was here in Phoenix, Arizona, where we're recording this. You want to intro this? We have three separate, brief, sound bites and interviews. You want to just tell us of who you're able to talk to at this game?
I do. One of our great listeners, Robert Friedman, who is also considered a baseball expert, I ran into him at the game, and we talked for a few minutes and got his view on baseball in general and the Dodgers. I talked with a group of Dodger fans who had their opinion on Clayton Kershaw, who pitched that day, and they gave the Dodger chant at the end of it.
You were introing these into that and sending these back to me. That's what you'll hear this.
Yes.
They're all going to send them all in a row. But, and then you also talked to a vendor?
I did.
Wow.
Now, so I know a lot of you listeners know who I'm talking about. Derek Moore at Chase Field, who was named the top vendor in Major League Baseball, voted by the fans last year.
Interesting.
Derek and I, oddly enough, went to college at Arizona State. We graduated the same year. Derek has been doing this for 31 years. Concessionaire at Chase Field and where the Phoenix Suns play and where the Cardinals play. Loves his job. But I had a nice conversation with Derek, and you'll be hearing that.
Yeah, so we're going to lead right into these, and then afterwards we're going to go to a station break, pay some of the bills, and when we come back, Doc, we'll have our Fast Pitch Fantasy League and some teases for future shows. So
right.
Looking forward to this. So we're going to take it away to the doctor from June 15th. Clayton Kershaw pitched game with the Dodgers and Diamondbacks.
And MC, this is Eric back with the Fast Pitch, and I'm here with a huge Dodger fan who actually is raised in Phoenix and lives here, Robert Friedman. Thank you, Robert, for joining me today. How do you think Kershaw's looking?
He's doing good. It's not his best outing, though, but I still think he deserves a spot in the All-Star game.
Oh, definitely. Now, after 6 innings, we got a 3-2 D-backs lead, and Kershaw is at about 80 pitches. How long do you think they'll leave him in?
1 at the least, and 2 at the most.
Okay. How do you feel about, if they keep the 3-2 lead, how do you feel about whoever comes in the 8th inning as a bridge to Jansen? Do you think that bullpen is reliable?
It is with Joe Blanton. I think he's been our best 8th pitcher. And also Casey Fine is really good, too. Those two.
Right. Okay, well, I guess we're going to see what happens, and I thank you, Robert, for joining us, and we'll talk to you again. Here with a few Dodger fans here at Chase Field, and what's your name?
My name is Rich.
Okay. Fred.
Mark. Alan.
Ivan.
Okay, and what are you looking forward to today?
I'm looking for Kershaw to throw a shutout at least,
At least,
get at least 9 Ks or more against the D-backs. Even though we're in a hitting stadium, we should be all right with Kershaw.
We're going to get the win,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know,
take the series.
You already know, right?
I do.
That's right.
They made me wear this jersey.
It's all good, though.
Yeah. Kershaw's on a roll. I think he's done 10 games in a row with 10 strikeouts or more. And he's only got 5 walks this season. So that's pretty amazing in over 100 innings.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to repeat that from last game. Hopefully he does. Even though, like I said, it's a hitting park, so the ball's flying out of here.
Right.
And Kershaw's still get at least, I told you, more than 9 Ks. I'm calling it already. All right.
All right, well, thank you guys very much. How about giving me a little cheer for the Dodgers?
Let's go Dodgers! Let's go Dodgers!
All right.
Let's go Dodgers!
I'm here with Derek Moore, who was voted the best vendor in Major League Baseball last year. And Derek, how long have you been doing this?
31 years.
31 years. And you must love doing this.
I love it. I get to do what I want, exactly what I want to do.
Yeah, and I know the fans love you. I see the love they give you, man.
Yes.
And MC, a lot of people don't know this. Derek and I were in the same graduating class at Arizona State University.
Yes, we were. 1994.
Sun Devils for life.
Yep.
All right, Derek, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for talking with us, and we'll see you again.
Okay.
The Fast Pitch will return after these words.
Born into Baseball, a new book filled with stories from inside the game, written by former Seattle Mariners catcher Jim Campanis Jr. Jim is the son of retired catcher Jim Campanis Sr. and the grandson of legendary Dodgers general manager Al Campanis. This book is filled with funny anecdotes and enlightening and heartfelt stories. From the eyes and ears of a child to the experience of an All-American member of the USC Trojans to a professional baseball player. Teammate Jeff Cirillo says, Jim's approach to telling a story brings you right into the scene and makes you feel like a teammate as he spins his tales. Born into Baseball, available now at bornintobaseball.com.
1961 baseball season opens with a new president, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, throwing out the first ball. And there's a new Washington Senators club also making its major league debut. The former Senators moved out to Minneapolis in the American League's expansion program to become the Twins. President Kennedy and his party launched not only a new season, but a new club. It's a new era in Washington baseball, but the presence of a new chief executive can't break a long-time tradition. The new baseball Senators meet the fate that almost traditionally befell the old club, going down to defeat 4-3.
Good Shit from Frank Maroney is exactly what the title says. Good stuff from back in the day. Frank captures every bit of the old school in this book with every bit of fun and charm that one would expect from that era. Filled with what could be considered lewd, rude, and crude, you have to consider those were the times, and there should be no apologies. This book makes none. It's just a fun look back into the past, which unfortunately we lose just a little bit more and more each day. Frank keeps it alive for generations to come, sharing his own views and outlooks, those from his friends over the years, and from his own wise family members that have passed on. Prepare to be taken on a trip down memory lane with Frank as your guide. Keep an open mind and truly pay close attention to the true meaning of these words, or you just might miss some true gems of wit. You might not swallow everything, but the table is set by Frank for some very, very good shit. Good Shit could be found on Facebook.com/GoodShitBook and also on the great website, The Book Patch.
Hey, are you watching me now? Or did you videotape me before? If you taped me before, you're not watching me now. You're watching me later. But if you're taping me now, and you want me to be clear and sharp when you watch me later, use the good stuff. Fuji videotape. With Fuji videotape, no matter how much later is, it never looks like later. It looks like now. See you later. Fuji videotape. Put the good stuff on the good stuff.
And we are back here on the Fast Pitch Game 26. And Doctor, that was some great feedback. You got some from some fans and some friends of the Fast Pitch there.
Yes.
So yeah, just
always nice
stuff.
to see Robert Friedman. I see him a couple times a year. He's a good friend. He's a fan of the page.
Tell us, Doctor. You said you those because that seemed like almost all Dodgers fans. Someone like Chuck Boyer is going to come to say, "Hey, where's the Arizona Diamondback fans?"
As I told you off the air, I tried to get Diamond fans to talk, and they would not do it. They were very nervous about talking.
Were you wearing a Dodgers hat when you were trying to do that?
I was not. In fact, that was the day I lost that bet to Chuck, and I had to wear a Diamondbacks jersey, not just a T-shirt.
You probably looked ridiculous, like a gritted teeth, like... I don't want to be wearing this uniform here as you try to interview Diamondback fans.
It's funny. I got Dodger fans even though I was wearing the Diamondbacks gear, and I couldn't get Diamondback fans.
Oh, it was cool. That was a nice little touch here. And if for some reason you don't hear those, that means we had maybe some possible issues with the iTunes version of getting those on there. So we apologize if you did not. Just know that the Doctor had talked to Dodgers fans, basically.
If you didn't hear them, we'll put them on again.
Yeah, we'll try to
with more.
Get a point where... we at least get those sound bites to you. Actually, let us know, and the Doctor will personally email the sound bites.
Happy to do it.
So, Doc, we're going to get right into as we close out the show, and a third of our show here, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about here because we normally don't have a normal news segment here, but we combine it here with the Fast Pitch Fantasy League, Doc. So we got hot, cold, we got stuff new in the news of baseball to help your fantasy, but also inform the fans who need to know what kind of stuff's going on here, Doc. And here we are. We got 12 weeks into the season, and look at the amount of players not only on the DL but have just went on the DL. This is like a who's who of baseball, and we got Glenn Perkins, season's ends, and then disabled list. We had Darvish, I think, going back on the DL a week ago as we record this. We
Dexter Fowler.
Dexter Fowler recently, David Peralta on the DL, which then they brought up Shelby Miller back up. We got Papelbon on the DL. You got Wade Miley on the DL. I mean, you got JD Martinez fractured elbow, so he's out of commission. That hurts Tony in our league. Jose
Lot of-
Bautista on the DL now.
Yeah.
Just, I'm sure there's some we might be forgetting since we were last on air, but just an incredible amount. But on the flip side, to look at these things, that gives young players an opportunity. Like the Cubs just recently recalled a great catching prospect, Wilson Contreras.
Yes, yes.
Now, obviously, you got Ross, who's in there, and you got Montero, but this bat, he homered on his first major league at bat.
Yes, he did.
That was incredible.
I've been watching him play lately.
It was the first pitch.
It was.
Yeah, it was just incredible.
I've been watching him play lately. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
He's their catcher of the future.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
catcher of the future. So in the future leagues, I mean, is he going to get the playing time in your current leagues? Maybe not, but somebody to watch. Depending, I mean, on ours, we don't have really a bench unless you want to drop pitchers like we do on ours. But yeah, I mean, on the flip side, there, that may, as we said, like David Wright's neck surgery also prolonged his recovery now. So you're going to have Mets trying to scramble to pick up a replacement that has him now considering bringing in Jose Reyes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that's going to bring up a little subject here between you do not feel like any team should sign Jose Reyes?
Do not. Excuse me. I agree with Bryce Harper that he should have been suspended for 2 years, at the least.
Yeah.
If I was a major league executive.
Well, what about Arnaldus Chapman now? He was suspended 30 games. He much like Reyes, was not actually, he was accused, obviously, but but he was not prosecuted.
Yeah, well, Reyes
jailed
was going to trial, and then it was all worked out.
It was dropped, right? The charges were dropped. And Reyes' defense, he did serve his time. So now if a team wants to sign, whether it be the Mets, whether it be the White Sox, who brought up Tim Anderson, their prospect, after he released Jimmy Rollins, but they could use that help too. So, I mean, there's no denying the talent of a Jose Reyes if he can stay out of trouble, obviously.
Well, I wouldn't sign him, period.
Yeah, and neither did the Rockies want him back.
Walt Weiss made it very clear that he was not welcome back. I would go after somebody maybe from Cuba. A lot of shortstops there.
I know the White Sox, or not White Sox, for third base now that the Mets are trying to look for, and that's what they're considering, Reyes for third. They're also working out Cuban defector Uliski, I say is Goriel. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name correctly.
Close enough.
And that's another thing. So it's maybe that's the way you would go if you were the Mets brass.
What I would do.
Yeah. Now he's kind of, I would say, an unproven, obviously prospect here, where you got Jose Reyes, who is proven to be able to play Major League Baseball. But let's do the flip side. I mean, on a devil's advocate, if Trevor Story wasn't having the year he was, do you think the Rockies would have released Jose Reyes?
That's hard to
Would
say.
been happy with Clint Adames in playing shortstop regularly, because he's been hot and cold in some of the games. Most of the time, not. So,
It's hard to say. I can't speak for Walt Weiss and the Rockies, but I do know they were adamant.
They're a desperate team like a Mets. David Wright is potentially for the season he's out, which means this is a playoff contending team that needs David Wright.
They need him in
They
there.
need a bat to replace him. This would be a wasted year if you don't have, if you can't get a replacement for him, or what's going to be the cost. And we'll try to discuss, time permitting, some of the top trade candidates here on the Fast Pitch Fantasy
Because that's
League.
what I believe is going to be the solution for a lot of these teams. That people
Potentially.
on the DL is trades.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the hot players, going on right now. Just to get to that, you got Charlie Blackmon on fire for the Rockies. Cargo obviously had a big week as well. Big week for the Rockies, I think, in general. Kyle Seager was, bad
Kyle
as
Seager
pretty
gotten
much.
very hot.
Carlos Correa, as we talked about in the start of the show, he is just scorching hot right now since coming back from the injury, and one who's been pretty solid, kind of taking some of the heat off of Giancarlo Stanton has been Marcell Ozuna for the Miami Marlins. His bat's been pretty. I think he hit two home runs in one game.
He did. And what's happened to Stanton, I wonder? Wow.
Yeah, on the cold side, Stanton's still batting around the 200 mark and still can't put it together. A lot of home runs still.
Does he have more than
No,
six?
he has like 13 home runs.
Oh, does he?
I think.
Okay.
He might have even another one, but his power is not gone, but his hitting is really, outside of home run, he might be like kind of the all or nothings like we were talking about, like a Jock Peterson / Trevor Story type player, But yeah, you look at some other bats this week, as with Justin Upton, scorching, Francisco Lindor, the shortstops not having trouble hitting for sure. We had, on the hot side, Corey Kluber had a great start, but he's been struggling most of the year.
He struggled. He had a great start, but he hasn't been consistent all year.
Yeah, and Cleveland needs that, him to get that. some weird releases, it's not weird, but we're not producing. The White Sox really scrambling, releasing, as we said. Jimmy Rollins, Matt Latos, who's off to. We mentioned that how shocked we were his start. He's now been since
greatest
released.
start of his career, and now he's gone.
Now he's gone. The designated for assignment, the Red Sox gave up on Rusney Castillo. That experiment's over, and probably in part due to Jackie Bradley, Mookie Betts, all those guys in the outfield success.
Right.
Made him expendable. Omar Infante was released from, and I thought you had him on your team.
At one point I did,
yeah. Last year, Royals released him, and the Royals have been a struggling team, too, to look on the cold side. Help could be on the way for the Rangers. Neil Kotz, one of our favorite mentioned players here, Byron Brown's
favorite relief pitcher.
He was the Yankees the Rangers taking a shot at him. Surprisingly enough, the Padres have, Edwin Jackson, signed to a minor league deal.
That's another big surprise.
Go back to the Rangers, though. Nomar Mazara's kind of cooled off. Russ Springer's been hot and cold. I mean, he's got like 15 home runs, but not hitting is normal.
Yeah, again, inconsistent.
Just inconsistent makes it really tough. Diaz, I think you said Almeida Diaz, not doing as well as he was earlier, right? Personally on your team in the Fast Pitch Fantasy League. So a lot of these, just some stuff. I mean, and what happens when your player's suspended in fantasy, like Manny Machado due to that brawl with Jordano Ventura? We talked about that, I believe, last show.
Well, you don't want to put him on waivers because someone will grab him.
Well, Manny Machado has just been one of the best fantasy players this year, and there's no way, like a great listener as we talked, Zachary L., who I believe jumped back to 4-6 now on the year as his record. Let's say 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
5 and 6, I believe. He jumped back up to defeating Hammy, our great listener, who unfortunately fell to 4-7. Zach needs Machado. Like I'm facing him this week, and Machado won't come back till Friday for fantasy
good for
players.
You. Yeah.
That is good for me. It was though Zach hit 4 home runs on me the other day. So yeah, Zach, congratulations to him getting his victory last week.
I'll tell you what surprised me.
What's that?
The Dodgers.
They made a lot of moves. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, they released Carl Crawford. Basically, they're tired of paying these guys that haven't been producing. Crawford being one of them. Andre Ether's another, but he's on the DL.
He can't be released due to the
injury.
due to the injury, due to the rules of Major League Baseball.
Dodgers released Alex Guerrero. Remember Alex?
Yeah,
last
he had some great stretches there for them, but they never gave him consistent playing time. Maybe he can go back with his inconsistent manager at Mattingly. Maybe
go back to Miami. Yeah,
maybe he'll be okay on the bench over there.
And what the Dodgers did was sign Will Venable.
Yeah, you seen that? Yeah. Interesting. What do you think about that? Do you think?
Well, he's a journeyman outfielder, and maybe that's what they needed. They got him for the major league minimum, so money-wise, it was a great move. And again, Carl Crawford had not produced for a couple of years for the Dodgers. They were tired of carrying that big contract he got from Boston.
Here's an interesting point, though, Doctor, as we race towards the middle of the year and the All-Star break and the trade deadline. The White Sox acquired, since we recorded last, the White Sox have acquired James Shields, I think, for like Eric Johnson, the young pitcher, and I think another prospect and stuff. James Shields struggled, so there's no guarantee when you make these trades. Shields, I think, 2 bad starts for him, that you're going to actually get the answer you want. I mean, a team is trading him sometimes a dump salary, but other times because they're not living up to that deal anyway.
Right.
So you don't know what you're going to get, but we're going to just review some names real quick, just that are out there, and just like, could be on the move, so I'm going to just read some names off the fans as we wrap up this Fast Pitch Fantasy League. This could make a difference in your fantasy. It could make a difference just on your team, if you're watching. But the Brewers have a couple guys, Jonathan Lucroy, Ryan Braun. What are the possibilities you believe that those guys could be on the move, Doctor?
I think both of them are going to be traded. Yeah. Both of them.
Both of them? Jay Bruce of the Reds?
He might
always speculated on because the Reds, haven't been in it in a while.
Same with the Brewers. They're not competing this year, and they were supposed to be having youth movement anyway.
Another guy, rather maybe signing Jose Reyes. The Mets have been looking at Athletics third baseman who's having a really big resurgence here, Danny Valencia.
Yes.
Actually, 10 home runs. Zachary L. had just picked him up to replace David Peralta.
I looked at Danny Valencia, was going to grab him, and he was gone by the time I got to it.
I did grab him once for one day, and he did nothing.
One day.
One day.
I like how you give these guys a good chance.
One day. If you can't do anything one day, that's the precursor for a career on my team. Excuse me, Aradis Vizcaíno with the Braves, the closer, I think, right now, because they traded Grilly to, I think, Grilly to Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah, he's out there. Obviously, the Braves are always going to trade people until they get into that new stadium.
I would, if I was Well, Julio Teheran is having a fantastic year for the Braves, other than his record. But because he pitches for the Braves, he's 3-7.
Could he be like Shelby Miller on the move with that bad record like Shelby had last year, or will he go to a team and struggle like
That's
Shelby
possible.
did this
Shelby
year?
Miller certainly struggled.
Just going down some of the names on the list, Fernando Rodney's probably guaranteed to be traded with the Padres.
Right.
You know, he's actually having a pretty good year for that. So he's not pitched much of late. Sean Doolittle with the Athletics. Anybody on Athletics? Zach Cozart. I'd be surprised if Zach Cozart has moved shortstop of the Reds.
I would
too.
too.
I think
He's
he would
still
be like a
young.
building block. Cargo is always mentioned to be traded with the Rockies, but do people want to pick up that contract, or are they willing to pay what the Rockies are asking?
Let me tell you who's been looking at him is the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as I've said for a long time, the Diamondbacks need a cleanup hitter to bat behind Goldschmidt, a threat cleanup hitter, and Carlos Gonzalez certainly would be that threat.
And it's really going to depend on the injuries. I mean, if a team has a key injury, like to go back to the Mets, you have your third baseman go out potentially for the year, that's going to make you desperate if you were supposed to be a contender. So a lot of things with the trade chatter going on, and it's just going to get hot stove as it heats up. We'll be right here on the Fast Pitch to let you guys know for sure. So, Doc, we're going to wrap up the show, but you wanted to plug some future shows. So, not only a future one, but one actually on Game 27 that will be recorded soon. Here.
All right, Game 27, we will have a guest, Rick Reichert, the legendary member of the California and Los Angeles Angels. Rick is a fascinating guy, had a brilliant major league career, and he was also a star football player at University of Wisconsin. Rick will be joining us.
Yes, the doctor will be conducting that interview personally and will not, unfortunately, be able to be there for that, but we look forward to that one.
And the other show, and we've talked about it before, the Bob Welch Tribute Show. I've already talked to a few people. What we want to do on that show is talk to some people who knew Bob or played with him. Dave Stewart, for one, the GM of the Diamondbacks. He and Bob Welch shared pitching duties with the A's during that run the A's had in the late 80s and early 90s. Talked to Jim Campanis Jr., Seth Swirsky, and I've got a few other people.
It's going to be a great show.
Lined up. Yes, it is.
So, Doc, we're going to wrap this one up. As always, at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Fast Pitch. Now email us at thefastpitchmlb@gmail.com. And as always, we want to thank Craig Best, www.thebeststation.net. Without Craig's help, you would not be hearing us, because Craig has given us the platform. He's also done the work and extra miles to put these great shows up so you can listen. And we'll have more info for you on our iTunes, which is going to happen. We promise you guys, and we're going to bring you that so you can listen with your phone on the rest mode, and you can still listen to us on the podcast. I know that's difficult to do in its current format, but that's what we're working towards for you, and we want to thank you all for listening. It's been another great show, Doctor.
Yes.
So for the Fast Pitch, Game 26, I am your co-host, MC Brown.
I am Eric Lenneberg.
And you guys have a safe and great week, and we will see you all. Game 27 will be dropping soon, too, with a great interview the doctor has.
And have a pleasant week wherever you may be.
You have been listening to the Fast Pitch on the Best Station. Thank you for listening, and join us again next time.
You are buzzing on the Pop Stop. Thanks for listening to the Best Station, because you know good music comes from all generations and eras.
Well, I'm just another cowboy who's had to move on into town. I got a furnished apartment, $10 a weekend up and down. I had to sell my horse, I had to sell my truck, you know it just don't suit me right. So put the saddle on the stove, Ma, I'm riding the range tonight. You know I'm really not the kind of guy to brag on what I got. Those major appliances, Frigidaire, GE, and Cold Spot. I got me a trash compactor, but I got no horse to ride. So put the saddle on the stove, Ma, I'm riding the range tonight. My sister on the keyboard's a girl fartlek. Oven doors, but it's better than riding the freezer and developing cold sores. So when you come to visit me, I might appear a little strange, sitting in my cowboy duds in a saddle on the range. I just don't turn on them burners, cause my chaps say, well, So put the